Hey folks, today I am with Jaco. He's very famous and well known on the LinkedIn community as well as the data community. Hi Jaco.
Hey, Youssef, nice to meet you, finally.
Yeah, we rescheduled so many times.
Yeah.
Well, we finally have time to discuss. I think I've been following you for quite some time in LinkedIn, and then I was happy when I saw that you joined the MVP community X beacons. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can just introduce yourself to those who don't know you, maybe.
Yeah, more than happy to. So my name is Jaco. I am originally Dutch, living in the Netherlands in Breda, a city close to Eindhoven for the people that don't know. And I have been in data engineering for now close to 10 years. So I jumped into the Azure cloud very early on, I think 2016 or maybe even end of 2015. And that's when Databricks came into the first public cloud as well. So I think I've been working with Databricks for over 8 years now, starting somewhere end of 2016. We are now end of 2024. So yeah, close to 8 years. Um, who am I personally? I am a father as of recently. Became a father of Raphael.
Congrats.
Thank you. End of July. So that put things into perspective. I've always been really career driven and ambitious and yeah, focused on work. But once you get a little kid, it all puts it into perspective, and you really get a different purpose. But I am married as well. So that is me personally. So professionally, have been doing Databricks and data engineering for the past 8 years. Have done many implementations for many large organizations, banks, insurance funds, pension funds, right now at IKEA. So that's a retail business, obviously, as everyone knows. And I think during all of my Databricks projects, I have worked with Databricks themselves, so with their solution architects, their delivery solution architects, and yeah, I've really gotten a bond with them. I even call them my friends now. And as of this year, I am also an MVP. So I think that is me professionally.
Congrats. And we can hear
Thanks.
baby crying.
Ah, can you? Oh man,
Yeah,
I
no,
had
not a big deal.
I
It's not a
had
big deal.
hoped it wasn't hearable, but yeah, that'll make it fun. Is it loud or
No, 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 no. But
Mm.
we know that you're a daddy, and congrats.
Yeah, I can send my wife a text message to try and keep him a little quiet, but
No, 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 at all. No, no, no. Let Raphael express himself.
exactly. Okay, I appreciate that.
So you said you've been using Databricks for like almost 8 years,
Almost 8 years, yeah.
and I remember I used it during my master degree, and back in that time, I think we had only the ML,
Hmm.
Spark,
Yeah,
and that's
just
it,
just interactive clusters, some
and
ML, and
jobs,
some notebooks. Yeah, and jobs exactly.
and
Yeah,
jobs. But you couldn't orchestrate things. You need to call like a notebook from a notebook from a notebook,
yeah,
and that's how you
exactly.
orchestrate.
The good
So
old days. Yeah.
yeah, so what do you think regarding the changes, like the evolution of the platform for the last couple 8 years, like
Hmm.
or let's say just 4 years, like you see it change tremendously. And what's your opinion and what's your favorite part of the changes?
Right. So that is an excellent question. So as you mentioned, and I think back in the day, many people used Databricks, at least in Azure, just as a way to run some Python code in the cloud. So I remember back in the day, you had Azure Functions, but it wasn't able to run Python yet, for example. And people would just schedule Databricks jobs or Databricks notebooks from an orchestrator, Data Factory, Airflow, or whatever. And that is what people use Databricks for. They didn't, at least even I can speak for myself and say that in 2016, I didn't even know what Spark was. I just used Databricks to run some Python code in the cloud. Now I know that is something very expensive to do. You would definitely not use it that way. But I think, especially here in Europe, I have not seen many organizations using Spark. I think it is also because data volumes are not that that big or that high, at least not back in the day. So yeah, it has evolved like tremendously. I think the biggest changes have been that obviously Databricks has gotten a lot of venture capital injections, right? So the platform grew, both the platform and the company grew enormously. But what I really like seeing in the last couple of years is that they try to create this holistic view of what a data platform should be. So not just running Python code or SQL code, but also adding governance, adding ML, adding AI, adding model serving and things like that to really make it a data intelligence platform, as people call it, or as Databricks calls it now. I think that is the biggest change and the nicest thing I've seen happening. So going from a platform where people would run Python code to a full-fledged data intelligence platform that it is today. And right now, you don't have to go outside of Databricks to do anything. Back in the day, Databricks was just something you would add to your platform or add to your data ecosystem. But now you can just use Databricks and that's it. So you have all the tools at hand, basically. And that's what I really like and what I really appreciate has happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's you've summarized it very well. And like, if you can, like you mentioned that you did so many migrations, and can you walk us through maybe some best practices for folks who are, like, say, completely new to Databricks and the ETL part? What would you recommend them to start with, and what are some best practices?
So I have done a lot of migrations, mainly from OL2P systems like SQL Server or Oracle Database towards the Azure cloud, including Databricks. And obviously, so those systems are really heavy on SQL, right? On SQL code. And migrating that to Databricks, even though Spark SQL is quite rich at the moment, it's not a one-on-one copy. You need to do a lot of, well, not a lot. I think 90% of Oracle SQL or Transact SQL will work inside Databricks, but there's a couple of things, a couple of edge cases that don't work. And for that, I think you need to do, you need to build specific logic, mainly in Python, or build custom UDFs to fill in that gap that you cannot migrate from the old SQL environments. So the best practices that I would have is, it is never so if you migrate, it is never lift and shift. People want to have a quick migration and think, hey, let's do a lift and shift. It doesn't work like that. I am a really big advocate of maybe not completely rebuilding it, but refactoring it at least to work with the cloud. Because also coming from on-premise to going to the cloud, there are two different worlds. You cannot expect code from on-premise to perform and to run really well in the cloud. You need to do some sort of refactoring. So that would be my advice: is don't lift and shift, but really design for the cloud when you do a migration. And then when you go into Databricks, and I know there's a lot of discussions going here and there about this, but I think the easiest way to get value out of data quickly is by using notebooks. Obviously, if you have a team that is extremely experienced in creating Python software, for example, you can use Python packages. But I think to get value out of your data quickly, and when migrating from old SQL environments, I think notebooks are the way to go. And it can be as simple as just scheduling notebooks inside jobs, or creating I think there's stored procedures now. I mean, the old systems heavily rely on stored procedures for ETL. I think you can do most of that in Databricks. I think that would be those would be my I don't know how many cents, 8 cents or something.
Yeah, you're completely right. Stored procedures are not there yet. We have SQL scripting. Stored procedures will be out
almost
next year. Yeah, almost there. Almost there.
Yeah, but I mean, like I think so people overestimate. They look at the word stored procedures, but what I really see people do, migrating stored procedures from Transact SQL, for example, towards Databricks, is just rewrite the SQL code inside notebooks, and you have a stored procedure pretty much. I mean, it's not called a stored procedure, but you can use the notebook with the old SQL code as a stored procedure if you like. You will get the same results. Wouldn't say it is the best practice, but it is definitely a way to go.
That makes sense. And I just have some, like, few questions. Like, can you tell us more about, let's say, one of the most exciting projects you worked on? Like, without mentioning the name of the company, like, just tell us more about.
Yeah,
project?
so I won't mention the name of the company, but I think people can guess based on the story. So yeah, I have done a lot of really interesting projects in the past, but I would say my current project is really the most fun one, because the scope of the project is huge. It is a global scope. So we are building a Databricks platform for this company. Won't mention the name, but if you look at my LinkedIn, you'll see what company it is. But we are sharing data with all of the company's stores, business units across the globe. Um, and not all of these, let's call them data consumers, not all of them are on Databricks, for example. Some of them are on GCP and are using BigQuery. Some of them are just using on-premise solutions to process their data. So the challenge there really is to share data in a way um, where they can receive it, but we're somehow still in control. So we came up to do, we worked with the platform team inside the company to set up delta sharing in a secure way. So we can not only share with Databricks consumers, but also with BigQuery consumers or just random on-premise consumers. Um, but also Databricks consumers. Obviously, we're running on Unity Catalog, so it becomes very easy to share data with other people inside the company. And I think the fun part is the thing that makes it a lot of fun is the skill. Like I mentioned, it is a global skill, so I'm working with people from all over the world, USA, China, Dubai, Spain, wherever. Um, and also the volume of the data obviously is huge because we're extracting a system that is used by 250,000 coworkers worldwide. So also the volume challenges are there. So making sure that you extract and transform data at scale. Um, Databricks performs really well, but you really have to turn and tune some of the knobs to make a workload like this perform. So that is what I really like about the assignment. But I've done a lot of assignments in the past also for banks, leading Unity Catalog migrations that I thought were really a lot of fun. Setting up Unity Catalog, for example, and collaborating with the guys on GitHub in the open source community of the Terraform provider, I must add, not the Unity Catalog open source that we currently have, but I did some contributing to the Terraform provider that Databricks has. That has been a lot of fun. Yeah, I think those are my most fun achievements to date.
Okay. And uh, you mentioned like a lot of parts on Unity catalog, on
Mm-hmm.
so many things. Can you tell us more about, let's say, if you had to choose one favorite feature?
I have a very favorite feature from Unity Catalog, and that is the data lineage component that comes with it. Um, so I've worked a lot in the finance industry, and in the finance industry, there's a lot of regulations and audits happening, right? So at the end of the year, you have a Big Four consulting auditing firm come in to do a couple of audits. Um, and yeah, it becomes really hard if you don't have data lineage there. So for example, if you have a bank that is reporting its yearly figures to their um, yeah, to the people investing into the bank, right? Um, and you're not 100% sure that the figures that you're showing them are right. That's what an auditor does when he comes in. He checks to see if the figures that are being presented to the shareholders, that was the word I was looking for, are correct. Um, so data lineage for sure is my favorite feature because of the auditing purposes that it brings. I think it is a huge game changer. I've never seen it work this well, meaning on like column level lineage and things like that in any other product. And that is why I really like that as my favorite feature of Unity Catalog, 100%. But there's other ones as well, like the table comments, the column comments that you can add metadata to
AI,
your
generated
catalog.
comments.
I really like those as well, and they also help with the AI products like Genie. So Genie looks at the table comments and column comments actually to come up with its response. I think that is just brilliant. So I think those are my two favorite features: lineage and the column and table comments that you can set.
Yeah, that was a like super interesting answer with
Yeah,
the bunch of things you mentioned. And like besides let's say what you like about Databricks, but is
Mm-hmm.
there anything maybe you would have loved to see in the platform?
Phew, that's a really good question. I have to dig deep to answer that one. What would I like to see in the platform? So there's a couple of things that I think are still a bit lacking in Databricks, especially now that the wider public is starting to use the platform. So I think you need to be quite of a technical person to use Databricks, and I think the serverless offering greatly helps in reducing that. Um, but for example, if you're just running usual small workloads on job clusters, for example, that still run on Spark, and you run into some errors, you get a huge Java trace log as an error. And I think many less experienced people have no idea how to debug those. So I think Databricks, and this has been like this since day one. So I'm still a bit I don't really understand why Databricks didn't yet make a move on improving those error messages. I think serverless error messages are a lot better, by the way, but just the classic JVM error messages that are still in the platform, I think they can be made better to really help the general, maybe little less skillful public a little more.
I think they did actually add or simplify the error stack for DB
Yeah, for DB
like
SQL,
yeah,
100%. Yeah.
because I mean that was the goal because DB is mainly for SQL analysis while you're
Hmm.
using Spark, your data engineer. So technically you would uh, have a better experience when it comes to troubleshooting those kind of errors. But I completely understand, and that makes sense. But like the first or the change was done first for DB SQL, which would make
Hmm.
sense. And I think they will still keep working on improving the stack error.
Yeah, I'm sure they will, 100%. Yeah. I hope so, at
Uh,
least. That I think that would really help the little less skillful people.
and like we talked about best practices, but if what would be your advice to the people who just got their diploma, like how they can get started? Because like you've seen, like you have so many platforms, so many languages,
Hmm.
so many technologies,
Yeah.
and sometimes they can get lost, overwhelmed with all
Yeah.
those kind of information. So what would be your advice?
Yeah. So very good question. So back when I started in 2015, the landscape of data engineering tools was already quite big, and there's this image that you see grow every year where the tools become more and more, and yeah, and so it becomes a bit of a problem, especially for newcomers to choose what to specialize in. But really, my advice would be um, choose. Basically, you have to choose. You cannot learn all of the tools. Um, and what you should not forget is the concepts and the foundations of all of the tools. They overlap like on a really large amount. So if you know Databricks, you can do a bit of Snowflake. Obviously, you cannot maybe know all of the details of both platforms very extensively. But I think the bottom line or my main advice would be just choose a tool and specialize in that one while maintaining or skilling up on the concepts that allow you to also use other tools. For example, I chose to specialize in Databricks. That doesn't mean that I'm not able to use Snowflake or BigQuery or whatever. I can because I know the concepts across these platforms somehow overlap or overlap in one way or another. Um, but yeah, I'm not as good in Snowflake as I am in Databricks. Obviously, I have my Snowflake foundational certification, but I really chose to specialize in Databricks because I chose. I think you just have to choose a platform, choose a stack, and then just specialize in that one. And then if you want to go T-shaped, don't don't horizontally scale or scale up on other tools, but scale up on concepts like networking, infrastructure as code, DevOps, those types of things. Don't go learn all the tools. That would not be a good advice. I think that would wrap it up.
Yeah, I think that was amazing comments. And do you have anything else to add before we close?
Um, I don't actually know. Unless you have any questions left, then no, I don't have anything to add. I'm really happy that I've become an MVP because it really allowed me to meet a lot of very good and also like-minded people. So I must say I really really like the MVP program, and I really appreciate Databricks for putting so much effort and attention into it.
Yeah, that was an amazing program. It used to be called before Beacons, and
Hmm.
now it has been
Yeah,
revamped and called now
I,
Databricks
I
MVP.
think MVP is a better name than Beacon. Yeah.
Yeah. Because now you can link it to Databricks, which is, and to be honest, guys, you're doing an amazing job. Like I can see your posts, like posts of like a lot of people, like
Hmm.
Josue,
Josue, yeah, I love
uh,
Josue. The man with the orange
Josue.
hat.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And not only Josue, I have
No,
bunch
all
of
of them are
people.
great.
Like I see now the posts floating literally every day, and you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you, Yusuf. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for being my guest, and see you soon.
Thank you so much. See you later. Bye.